Good evening. I am calling to order the Fountain City Council meeting for February 11th, 2025. Please stand with us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, before we do roll call, Madam Clerk, I'm going to call Chief Cristiani down, please. And Chief Cristiani is going to do some quick recognition for Officer Becerra. 2 years today that he passed away from his accident while serving our city of Fountain. That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Also, thank you for putting Julian's picture up. I know it's been up there for most of the evening. So, yeah, it's been one of those days that we all know comes every year now. But it's been a good day. You know, today's the 2-year anniversary of Julian passing away in the line of duty. On February 2nd, for those that don't know, the Fountain Police Department was involved in a pursuit of a violent felon, and it ended up on the bridge on Academy, just east of I-25. And it was there that Julian was trying to apprehend one of the suspects, and unfortunately he fell over the bridge. And 9 days later, he passed away at Penrose Hospital. So, you know, I've had the opportunity today to speak about this on many different occasions. I was at the El Paso County Commissioners meeting, and Commissioner Applegate read something onto the record, which was very nice, and they allowed me some time to speak in front of them, so that was an honor to do that. And then we had a little in-house ceremony at the police station for family and friends and officers to come and just, you know, enjoy some food and kind of just hang out with each other and remember Julian. And so, you know, we miss him every day, and there's not a day go by that he's not watching over us, though, and taking care of our department in his way that he can from where he's at now. And, you know, we just really, truly are indebted to him for his sacrifice for this community, and just know that the Fountain Police Department's stronger because of it. And Julian would hate all of the hoopla that's gone on today about him. He was never one for the pomp and circumstance. He just wanted to do his job, and he did it well. So all the stuff that went on today, we all joke that he'd just be telling us to, you know, go have a drink for me and guys get on with life. So we're going to do that. But and then just a quick update, as I told the county commissioners today, you know, we're still waiting for 2 years later. We're still waiting for the sentencing to take place. Obviously, the defendant was convicted of murder a few months ago. And we're still waiting, though, for the sentencing to come through, and it's because there's a group of attorneys that believe that the habitual offender laws are unconstitutional. So that's going before the Colorado Supreme Court. I don't know when, but we're not anticipating getting final resolution for Julian probably until 2026 or even a bit later. So we're just all trying to be patient with that process. But, you know, his little boy, Mateo, saw him today. He's just a little spark plug, you know, he's a happy kid, he's doing well. And so that's one of my main concerns, that Julian and his daughter Isabella, you know, when all of this is said and done, that they do okay, and they survive their not having their father. So, you know, Mayor, I just want to thank you for giving me the time, thank all the citizens for all the support. It's continuous. I still get things in the mail. I still have folks coming into the station just to say hi, and they always mention Julian. So I just want to thank everybody for that.
Thank you very much. So if everybody could just join us in a moment of silence and remembrance of Julian and thoughts for his family. Right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor.
And maybe when you do your update time, when we get there, on what's going on with the park or whatever, that'd be great. Okay, because I know people are curious about that, and everything just takes time. Councilmember Estes?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right, Madam Clerk?
Mayor Thompson?
Here?
Mayor Pro Tem Rick?
Here.
Councilmember Hinton?
Here.
Councilmember Estes?
Here.
Councilmember Hertzberg? Here. Joining us virtually is Councilmember Duncan.
Present.
I have 6 members present.
All right, thank you very much. That takes us on to item 4.1, presentations. Our first item tonight is a proclamation declaring the month of February will be recognized as Black History Month. We did this in perpetuity a couple years ago, but we feel like that it is such an important proclamation, we're going to read it again tonight. And Councilmember Rick, you were going to read that for us tonight.
A proclamation declaring the month of February to be recognized as Black History Month. Whereas the month of February since 1976 has been designated as a tribute to the 1,000 of years of Black innovation and struggle, and whereas in honoring African Americans from our ancestors to now, we celebrate determination, hard work, intelligence, and perseverance in the enhancement of all aspects of society, including business, education, politics, science, the community, and the arts. And whereas as we pay tribute to the heroes sung and unsung of African American history, we recall the inner strength that sustained millions in bondage. And whereas researching African American history brings belated awareness of the many who helped build and defend our nation, and of the many individuals who stood against prejudice and injustice that would inspire movements, legislation, and advancements set to ensure the rights that we share today. And whereas increasing our awareness of Black history, we hope to be better equipped to handle future challenges and opportunity. And whereas by the City of Fountain's continued recognition of Black History Month, we hope to firmly demonstrate the respect and value we have for our residents of African heritage. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Mayor and City Council of the City of Fountain, Colorado hereby proclaims the month of February as Black History Month and encourage all citizens to honor Black history and culture. Read into perpetuity this 9th day of February 2021.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, that takes us on to item 4. The next one, annual update from Pikes Peak Regional Building. All right, if you could just there you go, push the middle button. All right, thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Roger Lovell. I'm the building official for Pikes Peak Regional Building, and I'd like to thank the City of Fountain and Mayor Thompson for having us here tonight. We're here to present our annual presentation with kind of a summary of what we've seen in Fountain and collectively the Pikes Peak region throughout 2024. With that, I've got Greg DeGranda. Greg is our PIO officer, and he's spent a lot of time putting this presentation together. So I'll turn it over to him, let him do the presentation, and be here to answer any questions that you may have.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having us in. As Roger mentioned, we come here today to kind of go over some of the stats for the entire Pikes Peak region, but also specifically to Fountain. So I will kind of walk you guys through this. Am I driving, or are you guys driving?
Get out of the way. If you prefer,
I'll drive. I'll save you the trouble. Okay, so some of the highlights for 2024. Housing construction went up slightly last year. We had more than 3,500 apartments reach completion. New apartment permits actually dropped pretty significantly. New commercial permits were down as well. Re-roof permits remained high, and we had an increase in the number of total inspections that we had department-wide. So here's a look at our single-family homes as well as our commercial. On the left, you have the single-family homes. I'll point out things were kind of moving along pretty good in, say, like Q1, first quarter. And then when we got to, I'd say, probably May and June, in June we started to kind of drop off on the number of single-family homes. We remained slow through the summer, and that continued even further into fall and winter. With that said, we still came in just up compared to 2023, the total of 2854. On the right, the commercial, you'll notice at the bottom, the total, the 302, that is down pretty significantly compared to the year before. And then it's even more significant when you look at the very, very busy years of 2021 and 2022.
Do you have any idea why?
Typically, we don't like to speculate.
A lot of projects came to completion or all started at the same time, or they were building on the same time, so they were kind of maxed out, or?
A couple things, I guess I would say. I mean, part of it is interest rates, the access to large developers having money compared to, say, in 2021 and 2022 when the interest rates were significantly lower. That was part of it, I believe. You also had a big decrease in the apartments, and we'll get into that. But a lot of the apartment projects that we see have multiple buildings rather than one large building. So then that leads to multiple permits because they have multiple buildings. But then you also have to think about the garages and different accessory buildings. They can still be considered commercial. So one project can really boost those numbers quite a bit. So when we saw the decline in the number of apartments, it kind of leads to the decline in commercial permits as well. And I've lost control here. There we go. Okay, so here's the breakdown on the single family side of things. Again, 2,854, that was up 7%. I broke that down further into the three different types of single family homes. That's detached homes, townhomes, and duplexes. Detached homes came in at 2,463. 273 townhomes, and then we had 118 permits for duplexes. And the way duplexes work, it's one permit equals out to 2 units for each project there. The breakdown by jurisdiction, as you guys know, we serve 8 different jurisdictions, not just Fountain. Colorado Springs led the way with 1,458 homes. That's up 8%. El Paso County had just over 1,000. Monument had 193, and that was actually down by 30%. Fountain had 65, and you guys were up 18%, followed by Woodland Park with 38, Palmer Lake with 7, Manitou with 5, and Green Mountain Falls with 0. So here is kind of a visual look at where a lot of those permits are located. And I know this is very, very small, but it is a lot of data points on there. So if you guys remember from my presentations in the past, I always come in here with my beautiful green triangles. I have stepped up my game this year, and I have added red triangles and orange triangles to this as well. So ooh and ah. The breakdown, the differences, it's the 3 different types of single family homes. So the detached homes are going to be the green triangles, the townhomes are going to be your red triangles, and the duplexes are going to be your orange triangles. You'll have the purple squares on there. Those are going to be the new apartments that were permitted, and they're very, very hard to see. We did have a very small amount of condos permitted. Those are pink stars, and there's really only 2 groups of that. One in Colorado Springs in the Victory Ridge area up on the north side, and there's another small grouping of condos in Monument. So here's a closer look at Fountain. As I mentioned earlier, you guys had 65 new homes permitted in Fountain. I will point out you have kind of a grouping of the duplexes to the north there up off of Mesa Ridge. They are very, very close to Fountain, but technically they are going to fall into El Paso County. So here's a kind of zoomed in to kind of show you the specific areas. Ventana on the left had 2 new permits. You'll notice on the left, the Ventana, I went ahead and you have some light green and then some dark green. The light green are going to be the permits that were, the homes that were permitted in 2023 compared with the 2 homes that were permitted in 2024. Then on the right, you have Aspen Ridge, a lot of growth happening there, 62 new permits in that community. So here's a look at southeast El Paso County. We have 5 different developments on this image that you see here. None of these are going to fall technically under Fountain, but they are close, so I wanted to kind of include this for you guys. The cottages at Mesa Ridge, those are the duplexes that I mentioned earlier. There's 42 of them down there. Just to the northeast of that, you have the Glen. Straight east of that development, you have Lorson Ranch, which you guys are all familiar with, I'm sure. 146 new houses going in there. To the north, you have Bradley Heights, total of 80 homes going into that new community, and then the Trails at Aspen Ridge with 53. So this is just kind of a further breakdown of the homes for Fountain. Again, 65 total, 2 in Ventana, 62 in Aspen Ridge. The estimated valuation for all of the homes in Fountain is $32 million. And residential alterations, you guys had a really good year on the residential alteration side of things, 3,352. That's up 68% from what you saw in 2023. And the estimated valuation on those alterations was $23 million. That's up 130%. So here's the breakdown by neighborhood. So this is all of the top 10 neighborhoods in our 8 jurisdictions. Banning Lewis led the way with 295 new homes. That was a big jump up of 84% for that community. Falcon came in second with 233. Sterling Ranch, Lorson Ranch, Wolf Ranch, Cordera, Springs Ranch, Jackson Creek in the Monument area, Bradley Heights, and then Fountain with 65. So this is what I like to call the big blue blob. This is the number of re-roof permits that we issued last year. We issued 16,139 re-roof permits, and that's actually down 9% compared to 2023. A lot of these permits are spillover from the 2023 hailstorms that we got hit pretty hard in June and July. There was a little bit of a lag when it came to insurance companies wanting to give the go-ahead to have roofs done, and then of course the roofing companies got very busy, so it kind of led to a little bit of a lag, and that's why we continue to see new re-roof permits coming in, even though the actual damage is from the 2023 storm. We did have a little bit of a hailstorm hit in 2024, and that hardest hit was Lorson Ranch area, and that's why you see, if you look on the image on the right, it's almost door to door in some cases, almost every house in that area having to go through a new re-roof. On the commercial side of things, as I mentioned earlier, 302 new ground-up commercial projects. That's down 25%, and it's the 3rd straight year we have seen a decline. New multifamily projects, as I mentioned, we saw a pretty significant decrease, only 838 new apartment units permitted last year. That's down 63%, and it's the fewest number of new apartments we've seen since 2015. On the flip side, we did have a very large amount of projects finishing up. We had 3,795 apartment projects reach completion and then open up for renters. By the end of the year, we still had 6,060 apartment units under construction. So we are anticipating this year those numbers to be pretty similar, coming in somewhere around 3,000 units finishing up in 2025. Some of the other notable commercial projects, you have the Patriot Park Apartments. It's a $60 million project there that's located at Powers and Platt. Abrams Elementary in D8, $40 million project. King Supers, there were 2 of them. One up in Flying Horse, that one just opened up a couple weeks ago, and then you guys have one in your area here in Fountain. CSFD is opening up a new fire station, station number 24. That's a $10.5 million project. Bentley Commons is a 168-unit affordable housing project in Colorado Springs. And then you have a number of renovation projects happening right now at the Colorado Springs Airport. Many of those projects are connected to the fact that the airport is becoming an international airport. You may have heard last year that Southwest Airlines announced that it will be flying direct to Mexico. So now renovations have to be done in order to basically create a customs area since they will be coming in international travel. Some of the notable projects that finished up last year, the Ford Amphitheater, the USAFA Visitor Center, and the Hotel Polaris. The Hotel Polaris is up and running, open for business. The Visitor Center is done from a building perspective, but they still have to bring in a lot of the exhibits and get things decorated, so that hasn't quite opened up to visitors just yet. I believe it's expected to open up later this fall, if not November, December. The Epicenter Apartments, this is downtown just to the south of the Switchback Stadium, 408 units there. The Fiona Apartments, this is another downtown Colorado Springs apartment complex, 321 units. And then you have the Woody and Millie Guest House just outside of St. Francis Hospital. estimated valuation for all construction is $3.4 billion. So the construction industry continues to play a really important role in our local economy. So here's a breakdown for you guys in Fountain. New commercial, 51 permits, and that's going to include the subs and attachments and whatnot, down 23%. But you did have a lot of large projects, so the estimated valuation was quite high, and we'll get to that. King Soopers project was just over $21 million. You have the Town Place Suites Hotel, that's a $10 million project. There's a large self-storage project going in at $5.2 million. Mesa Ridge Marketplace, and then the Markets at Mesa Ridge, 2 separate strip mall projects, $1.9 million and $1.2 million. Commercial estimated valuation is $46 million, so that's up 190%. So even though the number of new commercial permits are down, again, the estimated valuation is up because you had some very, very large projects. Commercial alterations also up by 28%. On the apartment side of things, 0 new apartment projects permitted in Fountain. You'll notice, as I mentioned earlier, Pikes Peak Region still has more than 6,000 units under construction. Fountain, you guys still have the 336 units under construction. The majority of it is under what we consider a temporary certificate of occupancy, so that allows people to move in and live, but in our book, we don't consider it complete until it's a full certificate of occupancy. So that's why we still consider it under construction, so it hasn't kind of got to that list of completed apartments just yet. It'll come later this year, I'm sure. Our plan review numbers, new single-family homes, we were at 2,879. That's up 6%. Residential alterations, we were down 13%. New commercial and multifamily projects, we were down 10%. I broke that down, separated them out. New commercial, we're down 6%, and multifamily projects were down 39%. Commercial alterations, we are just up by 1%, and the total plans are 12,338. That's down 6%. I always point out on plan review, this is our best shot at a crystal ball. We don't ever know exactly what's coming later on in the year, but the plan review kind of gives us an idea. Plans typically lead to permits, permit leads to construction, construction leads to inspection. So this is kind of our best guess at what's coming later on in 2025. In fact, we've already seen a strong start to the year. Single-family home permits in January were up by about 17%. So good thing to see the plans up, and it's already rolling over into permits so far this year. Here's a look at our inspections. We did a total of 296,112 inspections last year, and that's up 3%. The boost is largely because we had so many re-roof permits, re-roof inspections that had to be done, so that's largely why that number is up so high. We have 63 inspectors on our staff working out in the field. The department averages about 1,100 inspections each day, and the daily average is about 20 inspections per inspector, except for our roofing folks. They're doing closer to 30 to 35 inspections a day, and the way that they're able to do that is because, if you think back to the Big Blue Blob, you remember how close those houses are together. In some cases, they're actually able to go to certain neighborhoods and not have to get back into their truck. They just walk, they go from door to door to door, so then they're able to review a lot of those inspections a lot quicker than having to drive. So here's a look at our GIS mapping tool. The beautiful green triangles that I walked you guys through, that's not available to the public. That's just maps that I put together. But this GIS mapping tool is available to the public. You can go to our website, pprbd.org, slide over to the far right and click on the GIS mapping tool. On the left, you'll have a whole slew of criteria that you can set in there. You can set it for 1 year max. You can go back in time if you want. You just can't go from 2024 back to 1990. You can do 1990 and only 1990, for example. You can set the project type. If you want to look up the single family history, if you want to look up the new commercial history, you can do that. You can set the jurisdiction specifically for Fountain. A lot of parameters that you can set. Then when you have that set, it will change the map. Those red dots will kind of move on you. And as you zoom in, you can zoom into whatever you want. This really comes in handy whenever you have, I saw some construction over at the cross street of blah and blah. I don't have an exact address, I just know an area. Well, this will allow you to zoom into said area, and then you'll be able to find some of the information for that project. This graphic you guys have probably seen before in some of our previous presentations. This is a look at our fees. This has not changed, and that's a good thing. We continue to offer the lowest fees in the entire state of Colorado, and if you compared to, say, some of our other friends to the north, I would kind of pat myself on the back here, but it's not even close. And when it comes to commercial, we are only second, only down slightly compared to Pueblo. Last slide I have for you guys is a look at the classes that we offer. We offer 4 great classes. All of them are free. We offer a Contractor 101 class on the first Wednesday of each month. That is designed for new contractors, also designed for people who are wanting to become new contractors. They want to get their license and do construction work for the first time. Good class to come through. We go over permitting, requesting inspections, how to navigate through their contractor dashboard, that sort of thing. We also just started offering a homeowner permitting class. We did it for the first time in fall of last year. It went really, really well. We have a second class coming up on Thursday of this week. That class is sold out. It's free. It's full, I should say. So we will definitely be offering another one probably in the springtime. That class, somewhat similar to Contractor 101. It's obviously geared towards homeowners, what they need to have, all the different documentation that they need to bring in to pull a homeowner permit. We're going to go over what projects require permits, what projects do not require permits, and again, a lot of the same stuff. How to request those inspections, how to navigate through the homeowner dashboard, which is slightly different but pretty similar. So it's been, like I said, we've only done the one class, but I think it was a good one to bring homeowners in. Homeowners have different sets of questions than, say, a contractor would. We offer also offer the residential realtor class and a commercial broker class. The commercial property class geared towards commercial brokers, but it's also good for small business owners. Basically, what the idea is to try to help commercial brokers as well as an entrepreneur looking to start a brick and mortar find the right space, or in most cases it's make sure they don't find the wrong space. Unfortunately, we've had instances where they sign on the dotted line, they think this is the perfect space, they find out it's not the perfect space, and they actually have to go through a change of occupancy. And through that process, maybe they find out they have to expand the size of their bathroom, they have to add sprinklers, lots of things that could add to the timeline of the project, add a lot of money to the project. Sadly, we've seen it where they have to end up, the cost goes way up, and some of these small business owners are actually put out of business even before they get started. It's tough. And with that, I will open it up for questions if you guys have anything for me or anything for Roger.
I just want to know if Todd bribed you on that last comment about people having to. We do. We constantly repeat to
Yes.
people, before you sign on the dotted line, come under the city, check the zoning and everything, because you don't. And I really like the class that bring the realtors in and train them on that too. And homeowners know what to look for before you spend all that money on a home.
Absolutely. Always better to ask questions ahead of time rather
Yeah.
than trying to fix them after the fact.
Right, because it could be way more expensive.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any questions from any other council members? No? Okay. Thank you very much for coming down tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Yep. All right. And if you have any questions for them, you can get them at, there are emails at the Pikes Peak Regional Department. Okay. Thank you. Okay, that takes us on to item 4.2, Board, Commission, and Committee appointees. We have none tonight. Item 5, correspondence, comments, and ex officio reports. Mr. Trainer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have anything.
I'll jump in there, Mayor. Like to thank everybody that came out for the ribbon cutting for the UC Health building that opened up off of Syracuse. Roger, thank you guys. Greg, appreciate it. Also, just to let everyone know, we do get some questions. King Soopers is targeting opening in summertime, so either late spring or early summer. And you'll see probably a pretty large ribbon cutting for King Soopers as well. So that's what we've kind of got going on in that area right now. But if anybody has any questions, just give us a call.
All right. New city attorney, you've had a whole 2 weeks on the job.
Just continuing to be grateful for everybody's welcoming attitude, and hopefully I'm assessing, meeting everybody's needs as they come to me. But I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Thank you. Fire.
We don't have anything to report, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Chief Christiani?
Thank you, Mayor. As asked, I will give a little update on the signage that we're going to have park named after Julian. So first of all, thanks to Todd and Christy for kind of brokering this connection with the builders at Aspen Ranch. They got me in touch with the developer builder out there and spoke with him, and he's super excited to have the park named after Julian. I went by there yesterday to kind of get a color scheme, and I've got a contractor to go ahead and build the signs. I'm not going to reveal what kind yet because it's going to be a surprise, but it's going to be a quality product. And I went and saw that park, and it's a very nice park on the east side of that development right now. And I didn't realize it was so big with basketball courts and everything, but it's a really nice park. And so we're honored that they're willing to do that. And so we're looking at, we'll have to have this done before summertime because that's when it'll get turned over to the HOA. So we're getting in that window of whatever the fancy stuff is. Christy and Todd, you probably know what it is. But I got to get the signs done before the HOA takes over. So we're going to get that done before summer. Thank you,
Okay.
Mayor.
Thank you. Anybody in the back row that everybody's turning around working so diligently back there? Taylor, anything? Okay, city clerk,
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
IT?
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to do Councilmember Rick and Councilmember Estes, and that'll give Councilmember Duncan time to unmute, because sometimes it's hard to find the unmute button. So, Councilmember Rick.
Nothing tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Estes.
I have nothing this evening.
Okay, Councilmember Duncan.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry I can't be there fighting a bug. So I didn't want to pass it to anybody. And I have been busy attending the joint legislative meetings on Thursdays and monitoring bills that can affect the citizens of Fountains. I've been really busy. I enjoyed the employee recognition, and I just want to personally thank all of the employees for their hard work and dedication to the city. Yesterday, as Todd stated, I attended the ribbon cutting for our UC Health here in Fountain. They will be providing services and promoting healthy community here, and I'm so honored and glad that they're here. And I yield.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Hinton.
Yeah, I do have something, but I'll probably reserve the right to bring it up at the next meeting. I'm just going to see how things kind of just go, but yeah, I'll wait.
Okay, all right, Councilmember Hersberg.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Okay, and I brought those 2 mugs back for you guys. They were given them out at the ribbon cutting ceremony yesterday, so those are really nice. Thank you. Really nice mugs. So they had quite a few left. They were not wanting to take them back home. So, all righty. Yeah, the UC Health ribbon cutting was great. If you are thinking of using that facility, it's beautiful. And once it's up and running, they're hoping to, I think they said 1,100 people a year or something they're going to. Okay, 14,000 a year they're going to put, hopefully you see there. And when they get it all up and running, they will have a lab and x-rays there. So that'll be great. So less, to have that all done there in that facility. And employee recognition was great. Looking at some of the employees that came up, some of them, they just think like they've been here forever, and that's only 5 years, so they're doing such a great job. And I did attend the sheriff's press conference. The sheriff was asking, did not commit us to anything, but he was asking for support on them being able to work with ICE. The legislature passed a law a few years ago. They cannot work with ICE. And they made it very, very, very clear during the press conference, this would only be working with undocumented people if they have committed a crime. So they're not looking for anybody that's just sitting at home. If you don't want them knocking on your door, just like any of us, don't do the crime, right, Todd? And Chief? Right. Yes. So that they made it very clear that's all they're asking for. So that takes us on to public to be heard. Item 6, Citizens may address the council on items that are not on the agenda. Council may not be able to provide an immediate answer, but will direct staff to follow up. Out of respect for the council and others in attendance, please limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. I do have 3 cards. If you're wanting to speak on something that's not on the agenda, please take a moment and run back and grab a card and hand it to Chief, and he'll get it up here for us. The 3 cards I have in the order that I received them are from Aaron Himes, and he's going to tell us about when the next steak dinner's coming up. I'm sure that's included, right? Middle button it should be. There you go.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for giving us a couple minutes. Do want to hit on some upcoming events here at the VFW. We will not be having a dinner this Friday for Valentine's Day. We're encouraging people to partake in the American Legion's amazing fried chicken dinner. So we're pushing everybody to them. We also want to highlight, we will have our steak dinner on the 28th of this month, so last Friday of the month. We also have a blood drive coming up on March 3rd that's being sponsored by the VFW in conjunction with American Red Cross. And it's something that we're going to be doing around the Colorado Springs area every month. We're going to be, different VFW will be hosting the event. They can comfortably take blood from about 50 people during each event. However, they will not turn people away. We do ask that if you are interested, please go to our Facebook page or our website and sign up. There's a QR code on there that allows you to sign up. Also want to hit, we will be doing a Vietnam Veterans Day celebration on March 29th. We're reaching out to the public looking for names of Vietnam veterans that you would like recognized. More to follow on that. I'll provide another update at the next City Council meeting. We're partnering again with the O'Brien Home Team for their extravaganza. Our auxiliary is partnering with them. We're going to actually host a flag exchange that day as well. So if you have flags that are in need of retirement, the O'Brien Home Team will be providing new flags, and then we'll be conducting a flag retirement for all those flags that are collected on the 26th of April. And then the last thing that I really want to hit is many of you are familiar with the Wreaths Across America program. You see it a lot at Pikes Peak. You see it at Evergreen out in Colorado Springs. Our auxiliary is actually partnering with Wreaths Across America, and we're going to bring it to Fairview Cemetery here in Fountain. There are about 200 veterans buried in that cemetery, so that will be an opportunity for the Fountain community to participate in Wreaths Across America here within town instead of having to go out to Pikes Peak or over to Colorado Springs cemeteries that are sponsoring it out there. And then just lastly, Madam Mayor, I am asking around post reference the meeting you had last week with Steve. Not getting a lot of response yet, but I'll bring it up again in our meeting and see if we can do something to help out with that.
Okay, thank you.
But pending your questions, that's all I really have for tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from anybody? No. Let's see. John, I know you're not really communications anymore, but we did put their blood drive on our city Facebook page a while ago for people like save the date type thing. When it gets closer to the date, maybe can we kind of pop that up to the top or something again so that people can see it easily? Okay.
And one alibi, I know you did reach out to me, reference the honor bell.
Yes.
And all of that paperwork is also due this Friday.
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested, we did pass that out for the local community here.
Yes, and that is on the city Facebook page too. So if somebody wants to look at that and find out about getting their application in really quick, thank you. Yeah, I was amazed to learn a little more. I was trying to figure out how they're going to have millions of things turned in from people in this area, and that they're only choosing 12. So that explains it a little bit better. It makes more sense because I was trying to figure out how they could have a bell with everything. So thank you. All righty. I think that's a great project. And for anybody who doesn't know, if you haven't seen a picture of the bell, it's huge. It's like the size of the Liberty Bell, basically. It's huge. So, all right. John Langley from American Legion. So he's pushing people down your way next week, huh?
Yes. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. John Langley with the American Legion Post 38. Just tell you a couple of things that we've been doing in the past, just a couple of days ago, and then what we got going on in the future. So Sunday, we had a chili cook-off, and we were able to raise $1,900 that we are going to be donating to the Run for the Wall. And so what that's going to entail is that when they go through Pueblo, they make a stop at Pueblo, they fill up with fuel there, they get something to eat, and we're trying to cover all of that down there from the post, along with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers and with their donation, we're going to be able to pull that off this year. Our auxiliary is going to be going up to McCandless either tomorrow or the next day, depending on the roads. And they're going to be giving out Valentine's cards and sweets to those at the retirement home. This Friday, we have our fried chicken dinner. So if you don't want to spend a lot on a dinner and take your honey out to eat, come on down to American Legion and we'll be glad to feed you some good old fried chicken. So the 21st of February, we'll be having our steak dinner that will be there. And then on the 28th of February, we have allowed the Special Forces Association to come in and they're going to be doing a lasagna dinner up at the Legion. The 28th of March, which is the day before Vietnam Veterans Day, we will be celebrating it at the American Legion at the dinner that the American Legion will be having. And then I just want to bring up, so that everybody knows about it, June the 9th, we're going to be having a golf tournament. It's going to be at Perry Park, and we're looking for all sorts of donations to come on there. We're taking corporate sponsors, and we're also taking local businesses to sponsor a hole and things like that. Pending any questions?
Okay, and is all that information on your Facebook page also?
Not on the Facebook page. That one is on our actual web page, which is legionpost38colorado.org.
Okay.
And, but yes, all that's in there. And then it has what we did last year at the golf tournament. And then this year, we're trying to make a little bit more money. So we're trying to get a little bit more corporate sponsorship. And we have a little bit more time than we did last time. So every penny that we raise helps out the community.
You might want to reach out to the chamber and make sure they're aware that you're looking for business sponsors for the golf tournament. And Scott or Todd can get you their information, so. Or Dan.
I think I have a meeting with them.
Dan, Mr. Chamber President, right over there. Oh,
I actually
thank you.
think I have a meeting with them on Thursday for the parade.
But there, now you got two reasons.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
All right. Dan with his two hats on over there. Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you very much. And the third card I have is from Connie Weisenhunt. So if you'd come down and state your name for the record, please.
Good evening, Connie Weisenhunt. I just had a couple of concerns I wanted to bring to your attention and then leave the thoughts with you, I guess. So one of them is, I'm not sure how many people, well, I'm assuming everybody at some point, is driving and visiting some of the businesses over in the Safeway shopping area, and there's like Noodles and Company, the chicken place that's
Chick-fil-A.
closed on Sunday.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, the potholes in that shopping center are so bad that.
And I wish we
like,
could do something about it.
we don't have like access to the owner of the facility.
So Todd and I and Councilmember Rick went around last year, and there's three different, can we stop the clock on her since I'm interrupting her? Thank you. There's three different companies that have different parts of the parking lot, and we gave out flyers for them to put up in their businesses with the contact for all those people that have that. Scott, or Todd, I'm sure you still have it somewhere. You can maybe email it to Connie. And just ask them to give out the numbers to their customers so their customers could directly contact those vendors who are supposed to be taking care of that parking lot. And the more, we figured the more customers that express their concerns to the people taking care of the parking lot, it would help us rather than just the one voice coming from the city. I've sent emails as the mayors, expressing frustrations from our citizens. I guess our one hope is maybe they get a little more competition in town. They'll fix their parking lot. But
Yeah,
it's people are very frustrated with it, yeah.
2 of the potholes are so bad that you actually have to ditch them, and in trying to ditch them, you could get hit by oncoming traffic. And there's got to be a lot of profit being made in that area. That money shouldn't be an issue in my mind, but what do I know? So,
Yeah, but if Todd can get you that information and share it with your customers at your store when they're expressing their concerns with it, and the more people we can get calling them directly, hopefully, it will get them moving.
okay, yeah.
Oh, hang on, yes,
So then the other,
Connie, just a
oh, I'm
second.
sorry, sir.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Thank you for bringing that up. Todd and I personally spoke with the owner of the maintenance district who is responsible for the potholes. His response is, we want to fix it, but the owners won't give us approval to spend the money to do it. And that was the basic answer we got. And I share your frustration. I've communicated directly with the head of the maintenance district, and we've just not been able to get enough traction to get them to make that change.
And we've had that same conversation through the years multiple times. But we have no way of forcing them to do it. It's their property.
It's really, really bad.
It is?
Yeah, thank you.
And if you need Todd's email, it's tevans@fountaincolorado.org, and he'll be happy to send you
Poor
that
Todd.
list. He'll be happy to send you that list. Real quick, Councilmember Hinton.
Yeah, Connie, I appreciate you bringing that up. This was going to be point of my discussion just about businesses in general and them taking care of our residents, right? They got to do a better job, right? We got to try to hold them accountable, and that is you guys holding them accountable to providing good service, right? And so I always say that, and some of my colleagues might get a little upset with me, but I spend my money on Fountain. But when I don't get good service, I take it elsewhere. Right? And so that maybe might be something you might want to do to send a message, because at some point in time, they got to do better, right? And if they're not doing better by us, then we'll just have to make it right.
Unfortunately, all the businesses, they end up having to pay a price when we do that. It's not
Correct.
fair to them.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
those are our community that
Yeah.
is being employed, and people who are, trying to be loyal to their job.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
I hear you.
I understand.
I had one more thing I wanted to share with you. So I just wanted to know, it seems like we come here and we gather here, and I come because it's a learning tool for me. But I don't feel like everything's being shared, and I think that many of our council members are on boards, and I'm just wondering, if you're on a board, are you able to communicate what you learned that month or that day or at that meeting, or is it not allowed to be shared? I so appreciate Dr. Deidre Duncan when she brings to light some of the things that I'm not aware of, and then I can share it with people who are needing resources. And I just wondered how many people on our council are on a board for our communities, and are we able to get into something where we hear a little bit more about your experience? Thank you. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And yeah, go after Safeway. I don't mean Safeway personally, just that I would think the shop owners would be very frustrated because they are paying into that maintenance of that district. So they're paying a portion of their rent and monies into that, and they're not getting it too. So, yeah, it needs to come from the citizens. So, thank you.
Todd.
Yep. All right. That is the last card that I have tonight. And thank you, everybody who came down. And that takes us on to consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and will be approved with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of those items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which case the item may be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately at the discretion of council. We have items A and B. What would council like to do with the consent agenda? Councilmember Estes.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Councilmember Hinton.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there for any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilmember Duncan, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carried.
Okay, thank you very much. That takes us on to item 8A, Old Business. Second reading of Ordinance 1809, an ordinance amending Chapter 17.02, Applicability, Construction, and Enforcement, more specifically Section 17.02.050, Enforcement of the Fountain Municipal Code, to add language regarding city approvals. Ms. Martinez.
Good evening, Christy Martinez with the City of Fountain Planning Department. This is the second reading of Ordinance 1809, which was a amendment to Title 17 to add in additional enforcement language to be consistent with other titles. There have been no changes to the ordinance since first reading.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any questions from anyone in the audience or anybody in council? Okay, seeing none, what would council like to do? Councilmember Rick?
Move to approve ordinance 1809 on second reading.
Councilmember Hinton?
Second.
Okay, any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilmember Duncan, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carried.
Okay, that takes us on to item 8B, continued discussion of water rate study and proposed water rate increase and public input. Mr. Blankenship.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just here this evening to give the public a continued opportunity to share any comments or questions that they might have with the proposed rate study and proposed rate 5-year rate plan. Last time I made quite a lengthy presentation. I have no intent to do that this evening, but I am here to hear the concerns and questions and respond to those.
Thank you very much, and I think you probably got you set a historical precedent on someone getting applause at the end of explaining a rate study. So congratulations.
Well,
So is there any further questions or clarifications needed from anybody on the council tonight? Okay, so this is your time, citizens, to ask your questions. If you have any questions on the rate study that was done, and if you do, please come down to the podium and turn the mic on and state your name. And we'll do what we did last time, let everybody ask all their questions and express their concerns. And then Mr. Blankenship will do his best at the end of the public to be heard time to answer those questions. I think that worked pretty well last time around.
and I will let you know that I did receive some questions from one of the individuals who was here last time, and I believe he's here this evening. Oh, that was Ben. He couldn't make it? Okay. Oh, he's watching. Okay, well, it's good to know he's watching. But he did have some really very interesting questions, because it was, you get accustomed to certain questions, and some things you just kind of take for granted. And he asked some really interesting questions that we don't normally get, and so I did provide a written response to him, and I shared that with the council too. So.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, is there any other questions or concerns anybody in the audience wanted to say tonight? Do we have anyone online?
No comments online, Madam Mayor.
Okay, going, last chance, everybody. Okay.
Well, I just want to say I really do appreciate the comments that we received last time, and we will be coming forward with a recommendation at our next council meeting, which is the 25th. And as I indicated in our previous meeting, it was my inclination to do a 2-year plan based on the input that I've received, that we have received to date. I plan to come and follow that intention with a recommendation. I will provide alternatives, but my recommendation will be to go with that 2-year plan that coincides with our budget cycle. We just recently started a 2-year budget cycle, 2025, so the first year would be implemented per my recommendation in March, and then the second step would coincide with our next annual budget, which would be January 1st of 2026. We would do the first review in the third quarter of 2026, and then propose the 27-28 rates with the 27-28 budget process, so it would be all integrated. So that's my intent at this time. I'll be preparing a report and recommendation for the council that'll be on the next agenda. We do have an item coming up under new business, and that's the first reading of the ordinance to repeal the existing rates. That's action that needs to occur to put us in a position to then consider and possibly approve the proposed rates at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Since that's a discussion item, that's the end of it, and so we'll move on to the next one, item 9A, consideration of items removed from the consent agenda. There were no items removed tonight. Item 9B, public hearing. So I'm opening a public hearing in Resolution 25-005, a resolution adopting the City of Fountain 3-mile plan for 2025. Ms. Martinez.
Good evening. I believe I did not move the presentation over, did I? This is a statutory requirement for compliance with Title 31 for all municipalities that have an annexation.
Do we have a screen, do we have a map?
No, I
for-
forgot to move the presentation over
Okay.
for IT
All
to
right.
show the map. That's on me, and I apologize.
Okay.
But this is honestly the same presentation I give every year for compliance with statutory requirements with Title 31. All municipalities who annex land into their communities are required to have a 3-mile plan, which stipulates that they cannot grow their boundaries in any one direction more than 3 miles in any given year. We also have to have a 3-mile plan in place within the 2005 Comprehensive Development Plan. Figure 1 does have our 3-mile boundary, so it shows an existing 3-mile boundary from our existing city limits. On that figure, it does not go to the west towards Fort Carson because that's federal land, so the municipality is not able to impose any of our regulations onto federal land. Figure 1 within the 2007 annexation plan also has the same similar map. It shows the 3-mile boundary from our existing limits. In that exhibit, it does show the 3-mile boundary going to the west, encumbering Fort Carson and the federal lands. If, for any reason, federal entities give up that land and it has a potential to be developed or annexed into a municipality, that is included within the boundary. As this is a public hearing, a public notice was published in the Gazette on January 17th, and then this item was also presented at the February Planning Commission meeting, at which time they made a favorable recommendation. So those two figures that I mentioned, oh, there's my presentation. If you want to go to the presentation or the exhibits. So this is the figure 1 of the Comprehensive Development Plan. As I mentioned, it doesn't include anything within Fort Carson. The city has not annexed any land that would extend our boundaries beyond that 3 miles in many, many years. The next exhibit is that figure 1 within the annexation plan, which does show the 3-mile boundary. Next slide. Shows the 3-mile boundary, as I mentioned, onto Fort Carson, should anything occur in the future. Again, it is the public hearing, so it was all published within the Gazette. It was heard at the February Planning Commission meeting, at which time they did make a favorable recommendation of the resolution to bring forth to City Council tonight. And so staff would recommend approval of Resolution 25005 tonight for compliance with the statutory requirements of 31-12-1051E.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Had couple people recently expressed to me when the neighbors to the north do their annexation plan, it seems to incorporate the city of Fountain. They're not annexing the city of Fountain. This is just a map that's required and you sometimes overlap other municipalities.
Correct. So, for example, the figure 1 within the city's current annexation plan, the blue line does show the 3-mile boundary, which includes some of the shaded area at the northern boundary, which is the city of Colorado Springs, primarily the Banning Lewis Ranch, which comes down towards Fontaine. So we do have an overlap of an area of influence. So we do have to coordinate within the jurisdictional boundaries of informing each jurisdiction of what's occurring within that boundary.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Are any questions from council? Okay, this is a public hearing. Do we have any questions from anyone in the public? Okay, seeing none in the room, do we have anyone online?
No comments online, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Thank you. Okay, then, seeing nothing further, I'm going to close the public comment period, bring it back here up to the dais, and what would council like to do with Resolution 25-005? Councilmember Hinton.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 25-005, a resolution adopting the City of Fountain 3-mile plan for 2025.
Councilmember Hertzberg.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, please vote.
Councilmember Duncan, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carried.
All right, thank you very much. All right, that takes us on to item 9C, first reading of ordinance number 1810, an ordinance repealing ordinance number 1729, increasing water rates to allow for the establishment of new water rates. Mr. Blankenship.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and City Council. This is a first step in taking action towards the adoption of new rates. It has been past practice by the City of Fountain to approve water rates by ordinance. There is nothing that compels us to do that, and so I had made the decision that it would be more expeditious and appropriate to approve the new rates or consider for approval the new rates by resolution. But in order to do so, we need to put ourselves in a position to repeal the old rates should you take action to approve new rates. So the first reading will put us in that position. At the next meeting, when I make a recommendation on new rates, if you so approve that recommendation or approve some other alternative that includes new rates, after that action, then I would ask you and recommend to you to take the second step, which would be the second reading of this ordinance, repealing the current rates. If you do approve that action, then the repeal of the existing rates would be effective upon the effective date of the ordinance, which would, as I understand, would be upon publication of that ordinance. Correct, Joni, or?
5 days after publication.
5 days after publication, thank
Correct.
you. So we will not have a gap. We'll have our new rates become effective, and then actually the old rates would be repealed actually after the new rates would become effective.
So at no time water is free?
No.
Okay.
No free water. No.
Free water. You can just imagine the lawn watering going on and the bathtub filling if that was the case.
Yeah, this time of the year would not,
You're not going to fill the pool quite yet.
I
but
think
yeah.
that our customers would prefer if they're going to have free water, it'd be like in July or August, not in March.
Right. Okay, so this is the first reading, and does council have any questions for Mr. Blankenship? Okay, is there anyone in the audience that has any questions? Anyone online?
No comments online, Madam Mayor.
Okay, alrighty, so we'll bring it back here to the dais, and what would council like to do with this? Councilmember Estes?
I move to approve ordinance 1810 on first reading.
Councilmember Hertzberg?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further deliberation? Seeing none, please vote.
Councilmember Duncan, how do you vote?
Yes.
6 yes, motion carried.
Okay, that takes us to item 9D, Resolution 25-006, a resolution authorizing the City of Fountain to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the State of Colorado Department of Transportation to obtain funding for the reconstruction of Link Road from Kane Road to Old Pueblo Road.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council. Abba Javetti, Deputy City Engineer. Tonight I will be presenting Link Road Reconstruction Project. And we will be seeking your approval to enter into intergovernmental agreement with CDOT. Again, this is not a request for funding, it's just to enter into IGA with CDOT. We applied for a transportation improvement program from PPACG, and we...
Just 1 second. I don't know there's kind of like a weird sound, and I'm wondering if people online are going to have trouble understanding that. I think the microphone may be a little low. Okay, okay.
Okay.
Okay, so we received $5.6 million in funding through Transportation Impact Improvement Program from PPACG to fund this project, Link Road Reconstruction Project. Of that $5.6 million, CDOT has authorized to distribute $4.6 million in federal funding. This is contingent upon our local match, which is about $966,000. This amount, which is within our local match, is split in different amounts throughout fiscal year '24 through fiscal year '27. We've already budgeted for fiscal year '24 and '25. Again, the project aims to enhance safety, drainage, roadway reconstruction, and multimodal accessibility. So again, the approval of this item will help us get into the IGA, which is Intergovernmental Agreement with CDOT, and start our design. I also want to mention that this project was listed under our 2025 through 2027 strategic plan under improvement of transportation infrastructure. So the $5.6 million, which is the total funding that we received from PPACG, will cover design from Kane to Jimmy Camp. It will also cover the environmental assessment and any right-of-way. It will also cover environmental linkage study from Jimmy Camp to Old Pueblo. All these are required documents that we need to work on before we can begin construction. The construction will begin likely in '26, will carry through '27, and based on our estimates, it will take us from Kane to Circle K. It's not unusual to do a TIP amendment and ask for additional funding from PPACG when the open call for projects come up. And we are planning to do that. Again, you may have seen this with Indiana Avenue, that CIP projects well, we need additional funding to get them through construction. The construction costs have gone up tremendously over the past few years. But yeah, that's the overview. I'm going to hand it to Todd if he has additional comments.
Thank you, Abba, and great job again. Abba's just a fantastic representative for us on the PPACG different committees she sits on. So Abba, we appreciate that. And all the hard work. She's working on several other grants. She's granted out right now because of this, because these grants are not free whatsoever. But one of the things that you'll hear the frustration in my voice, we first started talking about this grant and working with PPACG, I want to say 2017, 2018, submittals went in years ago. And at that point, 5.6 million would get us nearly all the way down to Old Pueblo. But just like we saw with our Indiana project and construction prices having tripled since then, every time the construction prices go out, we get farther and farther to the north from our ultimate goal, which is to get to Old Pueblo. So the best example we've got is Indiana. Again, Abba mentioned that we will have to go back and request additional funds, and we had to do that, I want to say, 3 different times with the Indiana project as the construction prices continue to increase. So as she said, it's not unusual, but it is frustrating because you try to do long-term planning, you try to put good numbers to these projects, and you don't want to overestimate because you can't go out and ask for additional funding till you truly need it. So in this case, it will get us about to the middle of Little Ranches, the Circle C area with the initial construction, so that everybody understands, even though it says from Kane all the way down to Old Pueblo, everything that Abba described that she has to complete must be completed before we can go request additional funds. So a lot of folks don't understand that. You have to meet when you ask for federal funds or state funds. You have to get all the PELs done. You have to get all the engineering and design done before you're even allowed to ask for additional funds. So on this one, it will be taking care of those requirements. And also, we're focusing on the blind hill as you are on Link Road, either whether you're heading north or south, right there just north of Little Ranches, you have that blind hill. So even though this won't get us even close to as far south as we would like to be, it will address that blind hill, which is the most dangerous location we have on Link Road right now. So the project, if you hear folks say, why aren't we going down to Old Pueblo? It's flat out that construction prices continue to go up. We'll get as far as we can south, and then Abba and Ben will continue to work with PPACG and request those additional funds. So Abba, appreciate just an opportunity to give a little input there.
Thank you. And I would like to add, it's, like I said, it's not unusual to request for TIP amendment because we've already received $5.6 million for the reconstruction. It will be likely that when the open call for projects come up, we will request additional money, and it is likely that it would be granted.
So there's a couple things we've talked about, and I know from being on PPACG for years what you're saying. So let's explain to people what a TIP amendment is and why you have to do it, and what an open call for projects is.
Sure. So TIP amendment is done anytime the budget for the project changes. So let's say in 24, we did not start the design work for the project, so we moved the design work to 25. We had to do a TIP amendment to move that local match from 24 to 25. So now it's, that money is moved into 25, and it carries over to 27. So anytime a change in budget or even a change in scope will trigger a TIP amendment. And then the open call for projects would be any time they have additional funding come up from CDOT. They would open it for projects like Link Road, which would need additional funding to apply for that, and everybody would vote based on the priority of the project. They would, allocate those additional funding.
Right. And all these projects come off the long-range transportation plan, which we've really been promoting for people to put their comments on. And I'm pretty sure it's closed now because we're voting on to accept to do it. And if we don't pass the long-range transportation plan, we can't add any more tips to it, and we can't keep extending projects and different money. So it all is a big old conglomerate of a rubber band ball, right? Just all these layers and layers and layers. So thank you so much for everything you're doing there. Any questions from anybody on council? Councilmember Hertzberg?
Yeah, just a comment really, and not specifically about this, but, and I know I've said this before, is bringing attention to how much hard work our staff goes into getting grants for our city. Millions of dollars comes in, and I just want to see that celebrated and highlighted and communicated out so people can see how hard our staff works and how much we benefit from their hard work in that way. So I just really appreciate it.
Thank you. Another thing you said was the multimodal aspect, and that's something that is required in the federal government. There's a lot of things in here that are required in the federal government. If we didn't have federal funds, we wouldn't have to do these things. So federal funds and the things they require add to the cost of the project.
Correct.
But you still need them for the large amount of money they bring in to get them done. So it's a balancing act, and you have to figure out if that extra expense is worth the cost of the project. So there might be times we don't go for a grant that we might because the match we have to come up with is too great, or it just would take up too much money in the project. Multimodal, what are you looking at for that area?
So we're doing 2 lanes to 3 lanes, and then we're adding 2 through. So there are 2 travel lanes. We're adding a center turning lane, and then we're adding 6 feet or 5 foot of shoulders on both sides with additional 6 foot of detached sidewalks on both sides.
Okay, great. Okay, something that's been asked for in that area for a long time. Yeah, so that's great to keep working on that piece by piece as we can. Thank you. All right, are there any questions from anybody in the audience? Please come down and ask your question. And as usual, state your name for the record.
Good evening, Connie Weisenhunt. So I'm glad that you just brought up that what is going to be done in that area. It's a beautiful drive. I've never seen like water build up or any accidents there, but my question is that's a lot of money. And so like, is it really needed? Because it just seems like such a focus on the infrastructure, and I get it. And I get that we're an older city, that we're getting bigger and that kind of thing. But do we have somebody who's doing grants and focusing on things for our children? Like, we've only got like 2 great parks here. We don't have a bowling alley. We don't have a movie theater. We don't have a swimming pool. We don't have a lot of events for our kids. And I just wondered, like, is everything, and for how long, going to be on the infrastructure? Because it just seems like we're building, we're bringing families in, but like, where are we going, Todd?
So just to kind of answer both of those questions, number one, Link Road looks a lot different right now than it did when I started here 8-9 years ago. And one of the biggest reasons is we were successful in actually, it was a conflict with Waste Connections regarding the dump. So we were actually successful in getting a $10.2 million rebuild of Link Road from Mark Shuffle all the way down to Kane. And the taxpayers didn't pay any of that. I don't know if you're aware of that, Connie. But Waste Connections paid that entire bill for the $10.2 million for the 2 intersections and the rebuild of Link. So this is kind of an ongoing to continue that process to the south. And what you have to do is, this is something that we meet the criteria for this grant. Because what happens is they put out the criteria for grants, then we will take a look at it, and then going along with all the things the mayor brought up, is it worth it? Are we going to match it? Does it make sense for us? So once we find grants that match our criteria with infrastructure and we're able to go after it, then we do that. Are we successful on all those grants? No, we're not. But the ones we are successful, this will basically take us from Mark Shuffle all the way down to the middle of Little Ranches. And when you put those two together, we'll be looking at right about $16 million in, you don't want to say free money, but we're only going to pay close to $1 million, so we'll profit $15 million in that project. So that's on the infrastructure side. That's kind of our processes. On the other side, when you talk about things for the children to do, the entertainment, the bowling alleys and those type of things, those are entirely separate, and those are based off of private development. So private developers look for opportunities to come in and build those where they think they can make a profit. The city, we will be involved with them, and if we're able to, we'll incentivize and we'll do other things to help attract them to the city. But there is no grants out there that you can use to go build a bowling alley. There is nothing, that's kind of outside the basics of what government looks at. You know, we're looked at for public safety, for infrastructure, for parks and some of those things, but we're not in the business, nor is any government, to go out and try to help or find money so that someone else can make a profit off of it. So that's really entirely based off of private development, which Kimberly and her economic development department work hand in hand with, and we do what we can to incentivize them. But really, 2 different responsibilities, 2 different pots of money, one being public funding or grants, and the other being private development. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there was a lot you touched on that I wasn't completely aware of, but I'm also under the impression that there are companies who are approaching Ms. Bailey with ideas for properties that are available to do certain things on, and we're being ultra picky. So just wanted to throw that out there too.
I can help you with this. We're working with some of those companies on some areas that they're interested in. And when it comes to entertainment or anything kids can do, we're absolutely not picky. So I can tell you, usually if they talk to her, they talk to me. And as soon as we find something like that, I've been proactively talking to developers about them reaching out and trying to find some folks over in the King Supers area. So we're both working on it as hard as we can. And if we can, we're going to do everything we can to help them bring them in.
Mr. Evans, if we could bring the conversation back to the resolution that's on the table, please, which has to do with Link Road. Thank you. All right. Is there any questions that have to do with Link Road? Okay. All right, any further questions from council on Link Road? All right, is there any questions online about Resolution 25008?
No questions online, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we'll bring it back up here to the dais, and actually, I'm sorry, I said 008, and it is 006 when I said the comment. So what would council like to do with Resolution 25-006? Councilmember Hinton. I'm sorry?
This is Councilwoman Duncan.
Yes, do you have a question?
No, I would like to make a motion.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion for us to adopt resolution number 2006.
25006, okay? We have a motion. Councilmember Rick?
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further deliberation? Okay, seeing none, please vote.
Councilmember Duncan, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carried.
Okay, thank you very much. That takes us on to item 9E, Resolution 25-008, a resolution to purchase a new ambulance and amend the FY 2025 budget. And you don't look like Chief Graham.
No, I do not. I'm here representing the fire department. Chief Graham, unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it tonight, so.
Okay, and you are, just for the audience?
Jared Cass, I'm the division chief of EMS.
Thank you.
So the fire department's coming tonight to request the purchase of a new ambulance and amend the fiscal year 2025 budget. A little background, in November, one of our ambulances was involved in a motor vehicle accident on I-25 in Colorado Springs. Ultimately, the insurance company determined that ambulance was a total loss, and so now we are down to just 4 ambulances. We looked around at what the used market was. We contacted the company that built our last 2 ambulances, Braun Northwest, and they have a demo unit that's going to be available in June or July. And for about the same price that we're getting with the insurance settlement. So that settlement was about $285,500. The new ambulance build comes in at $293,570, so a difference of a little over $8,000. This is the closest we can get to what our standard build of ambulances is with our same paint scheme and everything like that. Unfortunately, to replace it with an exact model, the lead time right now on new build ambulances is 600+ days, so we're looking at 2 years to get that ambulance. To give some background on what a demo ambulance is, this is a design that Braun Northwest, or the company, has designed to show off their skills and some of their safety concepts and stuff. We will get it it's a brand new chassis. It will have limited miles on it. It's a brand new build. So it's essentially a brand new ambulance for a significantly lower cost than what a direct replacement would be for that. So we got really lucky in finding this option for the city to be able to have that ambulance back in service.
Okay, and it will still be under warranty?
Yes, absolutely. It'll be a 2025 Ford F-350 chassis. So it's a brand new chassis under warranty.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, any questions from council? Any questions from anyone in the audience? Come on, Mr. Geek, I know you got a question. No? Okay, all right, do we have any questions online?
No, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys looking around and looking and finding what seems like a timely deal, right? Not having to wait the length of time, and then also finding it, for looks like a great price that we are going to do pretty good on. So I'm sure Sean has checked all that out. So, all right.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. So what would council like to do? Councilmember Rick, you look like you're reaching.
But it's not working. There we go.
Okay, Councilmember Rick?
Move to approve Resolution 25-008.
Councilmember Hertzberg.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for Resolution 25008 to purchase a new ambulance. Please vote.
Councilmember Duncan, how do you vote?
Yes.
I have 6 yes, motion carried.
All right, thank you very much. That takes us to city council agenda requests. Anyone on my left have any agenda requests?
Do have a request, it's not a agenda request, but Scott, could you please have Gordy McCormick reach out to Miss Connie Weisenhunt and go over all the funding avenues that we have for Parks and Recreation, so that she can hear from the staff what monies we do have and where we can get stuff. Also, just second question, does Gordy McCormick have access to someone to help him write grants? Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Estes?
I have nothing.
Okay, anyone on my right? Okay, Councilmember Duncan, do you have an agenda request?
I do not, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, that takes us to item 11, announcement of an executive session. Do we have an executive session tonight? We do not. Okay. All right, this meeting is adjourned.